Welcome to the Other Side Pod. I'm Nadine. We're not experts, we're just humans having a human experience we think you can learn from, or relate to, or laugh at, or cry over. So hit download, dive in, and hear how folks found themselves on the other side. We're recording with the lovely Nagad. Super pumped to chat with you. Before we dig in, is there one thing, makeup wise or skincare wise, that you cannot go without day to day? Just one item. Like if you could have nothing else.
Gosh, that's a great question. Um, Honestly, it's like Vaseline. My lips and skin get so dry, and I have a tube, a jar, always on hand, um, everywhere I go.
Straight up Vaseline.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, wait. For lips, I get, but like in hand, what? Okay, hands, face, like what? Everywhere?
I use it on my skin as like a sealant. So after I do like some of my skincare,
Yeah.
my skin gets so dry throughout the day. So I find that if I put like Vaseline over it, it kind of seals it. And
And it's not greasy? Like your hands aren't
oh, it
slipping off of
is.
your.
Absolutely is.
Like, what does your laptop look like? It's
He's
just,
greasy.
she's shiny.
Yes.
I mean, you're glowing and your skin looks so beautiful and dewy. So maybe I should buy some Vaseline. God,
So it's
secrets.
on my face, but like everywhere else, it's yeah, needed.
Oh man. Oh. And winter and summer.
Yes, yeah, I get so dry
Yeah.
and, as a melanated person, ashiness is so real. So it really helps.
Vaseline. Oh, I love asking a random question because I like could never prep myself for the answer. It's so great. Okay, can you introduce yourself?
Yeah. My name is Nagad, and I run a small business here in Ottawa called Of Soleil, where I make jewelry. My focus really is on like memory, connection, and cultural identity in the work that I do. Um, and I work with metals, but also polymer clay. So,
Okay,
yeah.
I met you at it was Parlor. They had the Not Another Market in the spring. And well, obviously I'm drawn towards you because you have a very warm, beautiful, like do I use the word aura? No, not aura, a like presence, I would say. And then all this beautiful jewelry in front of you. I was like, what is happening? And then I was specifically drawn to these little blueberries that, oh my God, I wear them so much. Okay, they're like a little drop blueberry, which I didn't wear because my headphones cover my earrings, so I don't wear them when I'm recording. But I've worn them so much. I'm not just saying that because we're chatting. I have worn them so much. They look like a real blueberry that I got from the market because it's like they're not this perfect shiny. They're actually the blue of a real blueberry, and they have like almost like a little indentation in them, like a real blueberry. How? How?
Oh, thank you so much. They're so much fun to make. My favorite to make is actually the blueberries. And that I used actually just polymer clay and um, I did some shading with soft pastels. That's how I got the color to look like a real blueberry. Yeah, they're so much fun to make and um they all look different too. Like even if you look at the pair that you have, I'm sure the
Yeah.
blueberries are not symmetrical or identical. They look like you just got them out of a blueberry box.
Yes, like literally. Okay, what is polymer clay?
Polymer clay, yeah.
Polymer clay. What is that?
Yeah, so polymer clay is it's I wouldn't say it's like plasticine, but it's a plasticky kind of material that you can cure with heat. And you can make so many different things out of it. Like I remember playing with the stuff as a kid, and it's
Oh.
super lightweight. Like there's so much that you can do with it. Um, and it's just fun, like, it's kinda like a Play-Doh-y kinda consistency, but not, and you can get them in all different colors and different effects, so you get glittery ones, you can get transparent ones with, like, a hint of color, so yeah.
So how did you start using that?
So I remember playing with it as a kid, and, just making I used to make things all the time, um and, I rediscovered it as an adult. I think it was probably like 2019-ish. I was just looking for another hobby. I have 7,000 hobbies, but I was like, let me add a new one to it. Yeah, and I rediscovered it, and yeah, I've been making things with it ever since. And it's an accessible form of um art too. Like you can do it in your kitchen if you want.
Hey, Nagad, I feel like you are not giving yourself credit. If you gave me a little piece of polymer, uh, clay, right? Am I saying I've already forgot the word? And was like, have fun. I couldn't tell you what I'd create, but I can tell you for certain I wouldn't be able to make a pair of beautiful blueberry earrings. So, like, you must have you been making things all your life? Is this a natural ability that obviously you work on and you like get better in your own craft, but have you always been a maker in some way?
Yeah, I've always created things. It hasn't always been with this material, but I used to like write short stories as a kid. I used to, do a lot of fiber art too, like crocheting and knitting and a little bit of macrame. I've always made things, and I think having a creative practice is uh, changed a lot of things for me and how I see the world, how I see myself. It's also helped me like confront very difficult things in my life too, and find help me find a way through them rather than avoiding them or going over them or pretending that they don't exist. Um, Being able to create something, you're confronting different parts of yourself. And I think that really is the beauty of making something. Like, yes, you're going to come out with something beautiful at the end, whether you think it's beautiful or not, right? It's a testament to a process that you allowed yourself to go through. Um, but yeah, being creative has been such a important vessel in my own life. So yeah, I've always made things.
Hey, wait, could you say more about how your creative outlets has helped you through some really difficult times or helped you with your own identity and your own growth?
Yeah, so a big part of, my work as a um, jewelry creator is, cultural identity. And I am from East Africa, and I'm a part of the diaspora. So there's a constant uh, exploration and negotiating worlds that I live between. And a big part of that is confronting and making sense of things head on. And sometimes it's uncomfortable. So being able to create something that is inspired by those worlds has helped me make sense of things that don't always make sense. And learn about myself through the process. And there's so many different, even just with my earrings, like so many different collections that I've made that speak to that. Um, and what comes out of it are really important stories that don't always get told, but um, you see friends and family and people who are interested and are curious about why you created something, and that gives life to what you've made.
Mm.
Yeah.
So it helps you link to your heritage, to your ancestry. Would that be
Abs-
correct?
Yeah,
Because without it, do you feel disconnected?
absolutely. And I think that is, I can only speak for myself, but I think that is an experience of being part of the diaspora is um, you're living between so many different worlds, and there are parts of yourself that sometimes maybe not disconnected, but you're still learning about and you're connecting back to. Um, and doing something creative, doing something artistic helps bridge those gaps. And, a lot of my work isn't literal, like, the inspiration is definitely from my culture, but it's all the stories that I've understood about these worlds that my art is speaking to.
So beautiful. Is your family just so proud of you?
Yeah, it's so fun. I took my dad to the hub market where I sell some of my pieces, and
Yeah.
he showed him the display. He's a gentle giant, and everything was so gentle. So he picked up the card, my little card. He put it in his pocket. He's like, "It's basic."
It is like I'm not just saying it. It's the your pieces are stunning. They're very beautiful. That's why I'm like, you are underselling yourself by being like, I just in 2019 kind of just got. I'm like, okay. Going to the blueberry, let's just pick that. What made you think to create these little beautiful blueberry earrings?
So I think that was one of the very first ideas or collections that I had, but it took almost like 2.5, 3 years to actually make them. And they're part of a little collection that I call fruit salad. So
Yeah, they're so cute. The
yeah,
oranges, the clementines too. Love.
yes, and the little lemons, and there's some strawberries in there. I think I don't know. It's just there's something light about it, especially like around the season where I came up with that idea. It was summer, and it was just something light to be connected to at the time. And it was really a process for me to I was kind of negotiating with myself around like, do I want this to be a realistic piece, or do I want it to be a little bit more playful? And so like that collection, it took a lot of time to make because it went through so many iterations. And yeah, like it was really just inspired by the spring and summertime, and the thing that I love to eat, which is a fruit salad.
Saints. The amount of money I will spend on fresh berries at this time of year, well, a little later in the summer, is next level. Like, but I'm like, well, this is my dinner. Like, this is like one time I bought so many berries from the market. The woman who was selling them said, "Oh, you're making jam." And I was like, no. I said, "No, I'm going to eat all these." And she said, "Oh, you're like my grandchild." I'm like, "Mm, yeah, I'm like yeah, this is what I'll have for dinner." So you practice, I guess, forming the berries with the clay. How is the clay white, gray? Like what's the color before you painted that beautiful blue?
That's actually a great question, and it depends on the fruit. So with the blueberries, I actually do use blue clay for it. Yeah, and then I create the form. I use some tools to kind of like get the little phrase of the top of the blueberry and the little indentation. And then I just take some soft pastels. I shave them with a little X-Acto knife just to get the powder. And then I go in with a paintbrush, and I paint it like a dark, dark, dark purple. I paint it with like a dark, dark blue as well. And then to finish it, I paint like brush it with a little bit of white pastel. 'Cause you know how sometimes your blueberries look a little bit frosted? It gives it that little effect where it's like super matte, a little bit of like frostiness to it, and that's how I get the blueberries. When I do my strawberries, they actually are not red clay. I use yellow.
Why?
Um, I use yellow because with a strawberry, if you look really close at it, the little indentations where the seeds sit,
Yeah.
they have like a little yellowy tinge, and then
Yeah.
top of the blueberry, sorry, at the top of the strawberry, it's usually like leaves yellow and a little bit green.
Right.
So when I go in and I indent the yellow clay and I brush it with a combination of like reds and pinks, you can still see the yellow indentations popping through. And
Well,
it just, yeah, it comes together in a different way than if I start with red clay.
okay. So blueberry, you have this idea. You start working on shaping it, on studying a blueberry, like using your tools to get the indentation, to get it. And then you work really hard to use the right color clay that you want for the pop of color. And then you figure out what kind of colors to layer on top of that. And then when you first look down and see this like perfect little blueberry, and you're like, yeah, oh my gosh, this is exactly what I wanted. How do you get the hardware into it without destroying it? Because it's such a tiny, delicate little shape. How do you do that?
Yes, it is. It is. I use two different processes. So, it is a delicate piece of, it's a delicate piece at that stage. And um, like it's very malleable. So, at that stage, that's typically when I'll put in different findings. Like, I'll put like a head pin in there before I cure it so that it doesn't uh, get misshaped later on in the processes.
Right?
When I'm finishing the piece with, earring posts or hooks, that comes after the curing
Okay.
process.
Okay.
And once it's cured, it's nothing like it's very durable. Um, Yeah, there are times, depending on the piece, depending on the size and how thick it is, where I will drill and insert hardware after curing. Of
Oh,
Yeah,
because some of your pieces are bigger, I guess, and maybe more, they could take the drilling without ruining the piece.
exactly. And sometimes they're flatter too, so there's not as much material to go through because I use
Mm.
like a little Dremel to pierce it, so it's easier with a thinner piece.
So for the blueberry, before it gets cured, you put like a almost like a the placeholder, for lack of better words, before you actually put the jewelry hardware in. Okay.
That's right.
So you do that, and then how do you cure it?
With heat, so I have a little, I have a couple little convection, like portable ovens that I'll use, and yeah, it just goes in the oven.
Oh my so every single piece is handmade by you. It's not like I've come up with this and you can send it out to, sometimes there's like a mold and you're like, great, I've figured it out. I figured out the coloring. Can you like make 10 of this exact copy? You don't, that's not you.
Not with the yeah, no, not with the polymer clay. When I work with sterling silver or gold fill, I'm starting with a wire, so it's already gone through different processes before I get it. But yeah, with the polymer clay, and that's the thing that they're never going to look the same. I think that's part of the charm is the fact that you could have two
Yeah.
pieces that look nothing alike, or you know yeah.
Every single piece you have hand crafted.
Mhm.
Nagad, how is it not quadruple the price? I'm like, do you need me to up your pricing? Seriously, that is so much time. Bless you. Like, how do you even price something like that that you've put all of that work into? Not just like 2.5 years of figuring out how to make that particular piece, but then literally crafting each one of them. How do you price that actually?
This is a great question, and as a novice in the business world. Still figuring those pieces out, you know, it's a whole new endeavor for me. I I I wouldn't describe myself as a business person. Um, and I think a part of uh, running of Soleil is approaching things that felt unapproachable in the past, like the idea of owning a business. Um, to me, felt very like structural, very logical, very like, and I wouldn't describe myself that way. So it's another way of approaching a hard thing, something that felt very hard, something that felt very uh, inaccessible to me, um, into something that feels approachable. And a part of that is being able to uh, make mistakes and figure out, well, maybe not even mistakes, but to learn as you go. Um, so yeah, it really is learning, and pricing and all that side of it is something I'm learning about.
Okay, off the call, let's have a big pricing like strategy session. Not to say that it's wrong. Like maybe the ethos behind your pricing is something very different than I mean, obviously every single person who owns their business has their own values and their own mission for what they want. I think when you bring it to a creative endeavor and it's art that's so meaningful to you, which as you explain it, I see that it really is, and I'm hearing that it really is. So your pricing could like the ethos behind it really does impact it. So I'm not saying like you should charge this much for each hour, because how you break that down is personal and different. And I also think there's something interesting about chatting with women who go into business who say like I'm not a business person, but you are a business person because you have this beautiful business, you've created it, you have all this product, and you have um, you have your name and your logo and your business card, and you're at these markets, but also from what I'm understanding is you have a real clear like mission behind it, like why you've created it and why you want to put it out into the world. Like, yeah, you're a business person.
Yeah.
Love mom.
That's
Where does the name of Soleil come from?
comes from so many different like experiences and things that I've gone through. Um, First and foremost, Soleil is sun. And anyone who knows me knows I love anything warm and hot and bright. Um, and so when I was thinking of a name, I wanted it to feel like something that you can return to, especially when things are difficult, and to not forget the essence of who you are and why you're here and why you do what you do. Um, because at the end of the day, like that, you're made of this. Uh, you're made of this light. You're made of this warmth. And so for me, it's a returning to that. Uh, Belief, it's returning to that understanding of who we are as people. And especially when you have, like, I was talking to one of my best friends, and we were just talking about going through adversities and different challenges, and also like the beautiful parts of life. But one thing that she said that really stuck out to me is, the people who you love you will always see you in that light and will always see you and hold you in that essence, no matter what season you're in. Like that's how people who you love and love you are going to hold you. Um, and so, yeah, like being of sun, being of Soleil, that's kind of one of the inspirations behind that name.
So beautiful. How does creating this jewelry and adding to your collections or starting new collections, how does that connect you with your past?
I think a big part of uh, making something uh, is bringing different parts of yourself, different memories, different experiences um, into the present and uh, making decisions on how you want to bring that with you moving forward. Um, and I think it's a really important process when you're reconciling hard things in life and beautiful things, right? Like, how do you want to uh, um, intentionally work with those parts of yourself? Um, and so, a lot of the pieces that I have created are from different memories and different things that I grew up with, um, and finding ways to bring it into the present day in a meaningful way. So, for example, like there was a collection that I released. I think it was like my first or second one that was called Oud. And oud is it's a wood. It's also an instrument. It's a form of like incense that is very common in my culture and other cultures. And music and uh, smells really bring you back to different places. So the name oud is a bit of a play on words because it's an instrument, but it's also like a form of incense. And I have such like fond memories of hearing the instrument and smelling that particular scent um, at home and around weddings and all of the different, you know, colors and gatherings and laughter that comes with that. Um, and then finding ways to bring it in to my current life. And I mean, I know you can only see a very bare wall with a little bit of art, but my space is full of color and it is full of um, pieces from my culture. So being able to bring those things with me and to uh, work with it and live with some of those memories in current day and decide like what was it about that was important to me and how do I want to bring that into my life moving forward um, was uh, such an important process when I was making that particular collection. Um, but yeah, all of my pieces, like there's a story behind it, and um, yeah,
What would or could you even pick this? What would be a piece that you're most proud of?
it's a good question. Um, I think one of the pieces that I'm most proud of are uh, a style of earring that kind of connects back to baskets and basket weaving, like kind of like this. Um, yeah, like it's a repetitive pattern, and I've done a few that are like single tiered. I've done some that are two tiered and three tiered. Um, I don't know what it is about those pieces that make me the most proud, but um, they are like when I think about those pieces and I see it on my display or I'm wearing it or a friend or someone out is wearing it, which has happened a few times, just such a cool thing to see. Um, it speaks to a feeling of home that I can't necessarily place. Um, and it's like, oh, like this is being witnessed by others and people are like they're carrying that with them too now. Um, yeah, like I think
So
yeah.
beautiful. And are they earrings and necklaces or just one or the other?
They're earrings.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, right now they're earrings. Yeah, and I do them in different sizes as well. Like Some of them are like really large, and some of them are like small and tiered as well. So, mhm.
What does it feel like to stand behind your work, your pieces at a market? And why I ask is because it's so tightly connected to you and your culture and where you come from, uh, that I imagine it's almost like opening a page of your journal in some ways. Like it's so personal. So how does that feel standing behind it and watching other people pick them up, go through them, hold them to their ears, walk past them? Like what's going on in your body when this is happening?
There's so much that is going on, right? And I think eh, when you make anything, before it becomes a form, whether that's writing, whether that's sculpture work, whether that's a painting, um, whatever you wished or hoped or saw in that has gone through so many iterations before it comes to form. And more often than not, you're the only one who sees all of that. And then it's a whole other thing for that to be perceived, to be witnessed, to be, um, to have others engage with. And there are certain pieces that and works that people do that like nobody. It's so deeply personal that nobody sees it.
Hmm.
Um, but it's that process that I think uh, can be very deeply vulnerable. Um, so when I do, I don't know, when I do go to markets and um, I see people wearing my work, or I see people who've like taken pictures of it and sent it to me. Um, there's a lot that I feel, but mostly it's gratitude. Like mostly it's a deep appreciation that like this gets to be experienced by somebody else, um and now they can take it and have their own meaning with it. But I think there is a sacred practice around releasing something that means something to you and um, allowing others to make of what they want of it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you can't guess how someone else is going to experience it.
You can't.
Yeah, right. You have to like release it into the world and let it be what it's going to be.
Yes. Yes. And
Yeah,
there's uh, a learning of acceptance in that process, right? Because
yeah.
you don't have control. You don't have a control over that at all.
No, over anything. I'm sorry to tell anybody. Do you follow or read Rupi Kaur?
I don't.
I feel like you would love her. She's a poet. She's incredible. And what is bringing her to mind right now is she released a few books of poetry, and I think her magic sauce. It's definitely her writing, but it's getting her to speak it. So she performs them, and she performs them in a really special way. I have not had the chance to go see her yet, but I will do. And then she took some time off because I think she got I don't want to put words in this person's mouth that I don't know, but I feel like she got burnt out, for the lack of better words. Anyway, she has a Substack. You can go read it. It's beautiful. Google her. She's amazing. Her books are beautiful. But she put out a newsletter that I read today, actually, and she's now doing a residency in Brooklyn, and she's doing one in the fall in London. And what she's doing is, instead of creating the art, her poems, and then going out to read them, she's created them while she goes to read them and is testing them. So that's why she wanted to do this residency. Instead of, she was like, basically before I would, hold myself up all by myself and write, and then like when it's all done and polished and ready, I go share. But she was like, this time I really wanted it to be a process with her readers, with her people that love her, her fans, her community. And so now she's going out and reading these poems that she's sometimes half finished, sometimes they're polished, sometimes they're not. And she was like, every show will be different because I'm just gonna go, I'm gonna like go away, learn, get the feedback, probably rewrite, maybe write some new ones. And I thought that's such a beautiful way to do it because we're so used to just seeing the final product and we've forgotten to, not we, I shouldn't say that. Some people have forgotten to think about all of the hours and the rough drafts and the rough examples. Like you can picture how many blueberries your palm has held trying to get to the blueberry that I just get to wear now. And like I don't like not that I don't think of that, but like I don't. I would put them in, I'm like pretty. And then as I sit and actually ask you questions about it, and this is what I love about going to a marker or meeting a going to a market or meeting the creator behind something that I wear or use because I'm like, tell me more. And now every time I go wear them, they're just that much more meaningful. I'm like, oh, right. Nagad handcrafted each separate earring that I get to wear. This, anyway. So I love how you're talking about the time behind the scenes. And by the time you put it out there, uh, how much effort's gone in, but also how much of the rough drafts of things that no one ever sees.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a whole like it's a whole world that's being lived that, doesn't it's a deeply personal world that doesn't i- i- all behind all behind
The
the scene.
scenes. Do you think we're all a little creative?
Oh my gosh. Yes,
Yeah.
do. I believe it so deeply actually that we are all creative. Um, yeah.
Some people think they're not creative at all. And I'm like, I, I don't know. Imagine if you can picture us as little kids, if hopefully we had somebody that like took good care of us and loved us and just let us be our little kid selves. There was something we gravitated toward, and there's creativity in science, in math. It doesn't have to be a writing or making jewelry or pottery or knitting. The sciences and as I just said are so creative, but I do think that's in all of us. And I think, I mean, I'm not quite sure, but is it this need to perfect it before we put it out there that makes us think we're not creatives?
That's a big part of it. Um, yeah, and it like if you ever solved a problem, if you've ever gotten from one side to the other, like you use creativity to do it. And I think that is um the little ways that everybody is creative in their everyday life. But I think sometimes the idea of having to have a profound or an incredibly beautiful masterpiece at the end of it makes it feel very unapproachable. And things like imposter syndrome and you're reconciling and dealing with very vulnerable parts of yourself, the doubtful parts of yourself, when you are being creative. And I think that's a big part of why um, most of us don't want to uh, see yourselves as creative people.
Hmm.
Yeah.
And like working behind the scenes on something and maybe not sharing that with others. Like I wrote, I was a little kid writing and like I remember winning like a little writing competition when I was in grade school, but I would never say I was a writer because I was like, well, I've never been published. Yeah, I mean, I've had an article published in there, but I've never had like to me, it was almost like I need to have a book to be like, look, I proved it, I did it. And it was like just slowly working my way around saying it. That's all I had to do because I'd go home and write my entire life. I've written so many things. And now I can say I'm a writer, but still a part of me is like, no, you're not. You didn't publish it. Right? Because it's like, no, you got to have that final draft. And in talking to so many people that are creative and asking them to tell me their story, I can see that there's this like little kid light that's like, this is who I am, whether it's like a photographer or a jewelry maker or a writer or a singer. And then it takes a lot of work, and I feel like untangling from our society and what we say is successful, untangle from that stuff to be I am this. Because I don't know, could go on and ramble about this forever, but I'm with you. I think everyone is creative, and I think we need more creators. And you and I chat a little bit offline about AI and how like I'm just learning about it now, and I was very scared of it for a long time as someone who likes to create, and I felt like it was going to ruin everything. Maybe it will, who knows? But I'm trying not to be so polarizing now, and be generous with my assumptions about how humanity will show up. But um, I think we need to tap into our creative little kid selves and work that muscle. All of us.
Yeah, it's net I think it's so like important even just for um survival, right? Like there are so many experiences that we have as humans moving through this earth that um are painful and uncomfortable, and being creative, like we don't see what got us from point A to point B as creative, right? Like um, but it takes a lot to um, weather difficulties and challenges, and like that in and of itself is creative. But it's how we understand what creativity means, I think, um, that uh, brings up a lot of feelings around it. Um, mhm,
I love that problem solving is creative. Of course it is, but I just never really thought of it that way.
mhm.
But yeah, you're right. Um, I haven't said this yet in the podcast, but now when I say it, I think anybody listening is going to be like, ah, of course, you're a therapist.
This is true. Yes.
It makes so much sense. How I mean, you don't have to be a therapist to speak the way you do, but I'm like, to me, I'm like, oh, it's such a full connection, and the way you approach your art, and the way you look at your art, and the way you speak about problem solving and creativity. I bet you are doing a lot of people a lot of good.
Thank you. It's,
Um, how did you get into therapy?
it was it's a non-linear path for sure. I was um actually in the sciences previously, and I loved what I was doing there. I thought it was um it's a big also another big part of my life. Um but ultimately I think I wanted to help people. I wanted to healing was something that um I thought about a lot. And initially, I actually was going to pursue something very different. I was going to go into physical therapy and explore healing in that way. Um, but um, I was also deeply um, interested and uh, connected to understanding how communities are a big part of our mental health and our wellness. Um, I think, individual work is phenomenal, and you can learn a lot about yourself, but also communities and the things around you that have shaped your experiences um, matter in our mental health. So that ultimately um, made me want to pursue uh, psychotherapy. Um, yeah.
Where did you study?
I did my undergrad at Carleton. I previously was in sciences, so I started out in neuroscience and worked in that world for a little bit, and then pursued a master's here in Ottawa at St. Paul University.
And is there a particular area that you love the most? Like, do you love couples, partners, one-on-one, group therapy? What's your not I guess like your area that that is the most satisfying to you, or the one that you do the most, I suppose.
Mainly I do individual, but I do a lot of community work as well. So when I'm not in individual one-on-one room or when I'm not making earrings, I do a lot of community work. So that's like program development, and they're all creatively based. Like there's music ones, there's writing workshops. But I focus specifically on culture and cultural identity and how specifically uh, like African, Caribbean, and Black individuals um, experience the world and um, what might be helpful for our communities in staying connected and healing in community.
Beautiful. How do how do both of your jobs or job seems so I don't know why it seems like the wrong word. Job it is a job, but how do they, because they also seem like a passion, I guess is why I'm like, oh, how do they intersect with each other of Soleil and therapy?
I think they're connected in so many different ways. But I think at the core of it is um, how does creativity help you see yourself and the world around you in a uh, in a different way? Um, I think it goes without saying, but I think there are a lot of systemic and uh, so many different issues that impact our communities, and the outcomes of that we've had to weather. Um, but finding ways to um, connect back to joy and connect back to um, who you are is like critical. And I think that's the work that creativity and um, curiosity can bring. Um, yeah, yeah.
Is of Soleil a therapeutic practice for you?
I'd say so in a lot of ways. Yeah. Um, it's a new way for me to take care of myself, because there is this um, business element that's new for me that I'm connecting to. But there are so many other like creative practices that I do that are healing for me. Like I still do crocheting, I still do knitting. And it's also fun to be a beginner at things too. Like um, I really do enjoy like watercolor. I'm not good at it, but it's one of those things where you just put something on paper and you're like, wow, this feels different. This looks different. Um, and a lot of interesting questions come out of that, even just allowing yourself to do that.
It's time spent with yourself and seeing what comes out and then maybe asking yourself questions about it. Is that kind of one way?
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. And just going, like, you don't have to think about it. Just, yeah.
Yeah. It is really hard to not think about it for someone like me who's very stuck in her head. Um, and I remember I had a therapist one time who did a lot of like therapy and art, like the combination of therapy and art. And she was like, "Would you be open to getting some clay and like working with it?" And I'm like, "Sure." And like I'm a very creative person. I write, as I mentioned, I've played music, I've Um, Painted. I used to paint with acrylics. And I also do pottery. I'm like you, like 7,000. I also knit like 7,000 hobbies and I love them, like all of them for different reasons. But there's something about it when she brought in the option to use it in a therapeutic way, I could feel like, when you're like getting your back up against something. Um, because when I do something, I want to work towards creating something. And so when she brought up the idea of just, I don't know, sitting with a feeling and molding clay to be whatever, I found that extremely difficult and really frustrating and super irritating. And I had the clay and I bought all these different colors because I was like, well, I actually love art. I love being creative. Maybe this will be great for me, like throughout this experience with this particular therapist. It was really great. Anyway, I had the clay lined up still in its package so it didn't dry out. And I had it on my desk and for probably a year, and I never opened one of the packages. I did everything else that I like to do and went through therapy and did some great work. And then one day, it's like probably a year since I'd seen this particular therapist, and I looked at all the clay and I'm like, what a waste. And so I opened one of the packages and I was like, you know what? You need to just sit and like start to mold it, see what comes out. And I swear to God, Nagad, I maybe gave it 7 minutes, and I was like, this is so stupid because it's something. Maybe this is something I should work on. I don't like just seeing where it goes. I want to know what I'm making. So if you were like, hey, can you? Like I'm very connected for my childhood and my roots. I'm very connected to the sea. I'm very connected to um, nature, very connected to the land, to animals like that. There's something about the sea and everything connected around that and fishing and all of that that like generational in me connections. And so if you were like, hey, can you think of something from your roots and make something? I would get lost in the clay for hours and delight it. But when you're like, let it just be what it's gonna be, I'm like, I hate you. Why is that? Should I just book a therapy session with you and work through this?
It's a good, I mean, that's really um like such an important thing to notice, right?
Mm,
I think also sometimes having an anchor can be really helpful. Like, um, when I make something, I don't know what it's going to be, but yeah, but
so impressed.
there is a theme though. There is something about like even just you bringing up like being connected to the sea and like having that as a bit of a grounding place to make something and be delighted for hours, right? Like that I find that is really helpful for me too. Like I think about something that I want to sort of bring to life, even though I don't know what the outcome is going to be. Um, Knowing that, I'm gonna make something that, I don't know, reminds me of a basket, right? Like that changes the experience for me for sure.
So literal though. If you were like, make something that like reminds you of a basket, I'd just make a basket. I'd want to see a picture of the basket that I'm making. I'd be like, but I guess there's different ways to create. Although, as I say that out loud, when I write, I don't know what's coming. And I write all the time. Like I start many of my days doing morning pages, which is like this really beautiful thing from Julie Cameron's book, The
Oh,
Artist's
is it
Way.
this
And
way?
The Artist's Way, so good, right? And I've done her 12-week self-guided course through The Artist's Way a few times in my life when I felt like stuck or I'm just trying to give myself a bit of a break in writing instead of trying to make it be something, just like find a flow. Like, sometimes with your creativity, something happens in your life and your flow kind of gets blocked. I find The Artist's Way really helpful to come back to. But morning pages is something probably for 15, 20 years. Like I think about all the time. And I don't do it every day, but sometimes I fall into a real good flow where I do. But all that to say, weekly for sure. I get up and I like write my 3 pages without thinking. And I find that helps me know what's actually going on in my body, in my brain, in my life, in my world. And it's almost like I get 2 pages in sometimes and then the juice comes out. So I feel like maybe because writing is my like number one creative outlet that I really resonate with. So for you, I can like when I look at it through that lens, I can appreciate how you could sit with some like a tactile, like a piece of clay and think, oh, I want to, I'm thinking of baskets. I'm thinking of something in my childhood that I want to express, and you can let it just be what it's going to be. Yeah, I get it in that way. I had to go full
Yeah,
circle there, Nagad,
we love it.
to really talk that out.
Yeah.
How do you find time for your therapy practice and of Soleil?
Um, I don't know if I find time. I'm very intentional with time. Um, eh, there's so many parts of um, my life and the things that I do that I feel right now are necessary to uh, help me um, live a full and balanced life. And I think it's really important to safeguard those things and make sure that they are taken care of so that I can continue taking care of the things that I deeply care about. Um, so yeah, like I'm very intentional with time and um, making sure that, you know, um, I give myself enough, not just the physical sense of time of like, I need to do this, this, and this, but how am I with that time, right? Like, am I giving myself 30 seconds in between, logging off and then delving into something else? Like, no, there's other things that I need to do to support uh, that transition. There are the things that I do that support um, that happening. So yes, I do a lot, and um, protecting uh, protecting um, the space and the energy that it takes to do those things um, is very important, very intentional for me.
How do you do that?
First things first, like my mornings are uh, so important to me. I'm a morning person, so how I start my day really matters. Usually, it's out being outside. Um, I spend a lot of time outside, but first thing in the morning is really important to me. Um, and yeah, like transitions are very important. Like, how do I move from one space to another? Um, that time is uh, a way for me to um, gently let go of what was and move into what's about to happen or what I'm going to spend some time doing next. So that's how I do it. Yeah.
That you speak so thoughtfully about the transitions between things. I find that also really helpful, especially making sure that I'm in the right headspace to chat with somebody and record a podcast, and then have the time in between to regroup and kind of like lay that aside, give it all of the energy that I want to give it because it's so important to me, and then have a moment to lay it aside before I sit with someone doing one-on-one coaching or um I'm also like working through a school program, getting accredited with using the Enneagram in my coaching. So being so thoughtful about booking time to do that because I can move through life very quickly, and I've worked really hard to slow myself down. And I'm never at my best at either thing if I'm moving so quickly in between, and I don't give myself the time in between. So I'll show up for you, and there'll be something missing. It wouldn't be this like I'll feel it. I don't know if the other person would feel it, but I imagine they do. Because like there's always a moment where we're kind of caught off guard in a conversation because our head is elsewhere. It happens, but you can really feel it.
Yes.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
as a therapist and as someone who her other job is this creative outlet, I imagine you wanted to get the best of you in both worlds. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I
Yeah.
love that. I love that transition. Um, the thoughtfulness in between the transitions and also how you show up for your friends and your family and like the transitions matter.
Well, they do. They really do. They really do for, yeah, and just as you mentioned, like for both people, um, it's important. Yeah.
Um, what is the next idea that's kind of been fermenting in your head, in your body for your jewelry line of Soleil?
Um, Truthfully, there's always like so many things that are coming up. Um, the overarching thing is just like more of what I've been doing. Um, yeah, more of it. Um, but I would like to spend a bit more time working with different metals. So that's like something new. As I mentioned, right now I'm kind of uh, working with, some of the polymer clay, sterling silver, gold fill, but um, really curious about like brass and bronze and how they feel when I'm working with them. 'Cause something interesting about working with metal is depending on what metal you work with, they feel different when you're shaping them. And um, I think what I'm really interested in right now is spending more time with different metals and seeing what else I could make. So yeah, just more of that, really.
Are you self-taught for all of these techniques, or is there anywhere that you go to study or do a course?
You know what? When I started working with metal, I actually took a workshop with Alyssa from Strut Jewelry. Yeah, it was such a lovely experience, and um, it made metal feel very like approachable for me. And I learned so much about like what you can do with metal. Um, from there, I've just been reading books about metal and watching videos and seeing how I can take some of the things that I've done with clay and bring them into metal. So a lot of that is self-taught. Um, but yeah, that workshop like made it feel very possible for me. So
Ugh.
yeah,
Um, I also love this reminder, right? There's so many different ways that we can learn new skills or new things or dig a little deeper through a workshop. It doesn't always have to be like, oh, I can't find time to go do this because I've got to go, to this school or this course, or it could be just like little pockets of time you set out for yourself to go do a workshop or pick up a book or just sit with the material and try. Again, going back to if all of us could just tap into our own little like kid creative energy to get it going and get it flowing again. Yeah, it doesn't have to be a big thing. It could be these little moments.
absolutely. Yeah, the little moments matter so much, and there are so many realities of why people can't tap into that creative like childhood state. Like there's, I don't want to um, negate how life happens to people. Um, but moments where you do have like, I don't know, a minute or two just to like be. I think that's where creativity starts. I think that's where um, it can stem from. And it doesn't have to, you don't have to start something brand new to tap into it. It's like, what are some of the things you're already doing? Like, what's your coffee practice in the morning? Um, what's the route that you take when you're going on a walk? Like moments like that, uh, I believe are deeply important, and um, you learn so much about yourself through that. And I think that's the point of being creative is learning about yourself and learning about the world around you and all of that.
So lovely to talk to you. You have like the most calming presence. I'm like, can I have your voice taped reading out the book that I'm reading? Can you record a book teaching me about AI so I'm not so scared of it? With your calming voice? I'm like, maybe it's not so scary.
Maybe that's no, maybe that's new the newness of Soleil. Maybe I'll do some book readings.
Like, sign me up. How are you doing before I let you go? How's Nagad?
Good. I'm having fun. Yeah. Um, yeah, I'm having a lot of fun, and I think that um is exactly where I want to be right now. I'm doing good.
I wish you all of the success. I cannot wait to see more of your creations in person. There's something, I mean, I'll put your Instagram in the podcast notes so people can go see. And everything looks really beautiful on there. But I'm telling you, there's something about holding those pieces and realizing like, oh my gosh, like the tiniest of details that you put into something. Yeah, you're a very, 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 very talented human. And I'm so glad that you found a creative outlet that you share with the world because anybody that interacts with it, I think it just adds some lightness and some sunshine and some warmth to their day. So yeah, I love that you're on this earth with me.
Thank you. Thank you. It's so, thank you. I deeply appreciate it. Yeah.
Have a beautiful day.
Thank you. Thank you. You too.
Bye.
Bye.